Four games were played on Monday night on the Stanley Cup playoffs. Some intriguing games. And the first one we're going to get into is Anaheim Ducks versus Edmonton Oilers. What an atmosphere. What a game that was. I'm here reconnecting with my guy, Chris. Chris, how's it going, man?
I can't complain, brother. Life is good. Stanley Cup playoffs are back, and for me, as you can see behind me over my shoulder there, that Flyers logo. Uh, Insane that they're even in and playing it as well as they are. We'll get to that. Don't worry. But yeah, no, incredible atmosphere for Edmonton and Anaheim last night, and a really good game considering they were the last series to get underway of all eight that played. That was game one, where everybody else was basically playing game two. So again, not exactly the goal scorers that you would expect when you look under Edmonton Oilers and you see a Jason Dickinson, you see a Kasperi Kapanen. Absent is a Connor McDavid. Leon Draisaitl did pick up an assist. But that's massive for Edmonton to be able to pull out a 4-3 win over the Ducks without Connor McDavid getting himself on that score sheet.
Jason Dickinson, his first playoff game, scoring two goals, which is big
Mhm.
time. And Leon Draisaitl, who missed the last 14 games, he came back and he had two assists in his return.
Mhm.
So he had a lower body injury. Um, Connor Ingram made 25 saves for the Oilers. That's very good. So far, Leon Draisaitl says that he feels okay, and it's gonna take a couple of games for him to get
For
into
sure.
rhythm, which is makes sense because when you come back from an injury, yes, you're gonna be rusty, but it's gonna take a couple of games to get into rhythm. So, and we have seen this before. I forgot. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago where he wasn't 100% in the postseason, but he just fought it through. So Leon Draisaitl, I mean, he's the second guy behind Connor
Mhm.
McDavid, so the second leader on the team. So he's not gonna miss any time for this. It's playoff time.
Mhm.
The Oilers came have fallen twice in the Cup Finals, and they believe that they can run it back again. But there's gonna be
There's
some.
no Florida Panthers this year, Mike.
There's no
The
Florida
Florida
Panthers. Yeah,
Panthers are out. So,
yeah.
I mean, how
But
much
it,
better could it be lined up? Now, granted, you're still going to have Carolina. I think they're the best in the East. But it's set up as well as it could be for the Edmonton Oilers if they can get through that gauntlet that is the Western Conference. Because you still got Colorado to get through. You still got Dallas to potentially get through. You still have Minnesota potentially get through. And that's all just to get through to the Western Conference final. That's insane. So Edmonton's going to have their work cut out, but whoever gets out of that gauntlet, out of that situation there, that they're going to be set up well to make a run at that Stanley Cup final.
Dickinson is the fourth player to record a multi-goal game in Oilers postseason debut. Great company there. And the Oilers were 0 and 12 and 2 in the regular season when McDavid failed to register a
Mm.
point. That's pretty
And it was
interesting
it
for
it was a gutsy third period for Edmonton. They trailed 3-2 heading into that final 20 minutes of play. So they didn't get it tied up until about midway through, scored a late goal, which, always pops the crowd and is great to see. Um, tough loss for the Anaheim Ducks, but they're a young squad. I feel like they'll bounce back in game two. But that series really going to come down to what they do at home at Honda Center in Anaheim. It's going to be a tough atmosphere up there in Edmonton. It'd be interesting to see how Ducks fans show up games 3 and 4 of the series.
moving on to the next one, Ottawa, Carolina. Carolina won 3-2 in double overtime. Jordan
Such a
Martinook
good
won
game.
it. Yep. Jordan Martinook won it for them. And but yeah, that was a fascinating game.
Oh
Fascinating.
man. So one of the people that I've had the pleasure of working with, his name's Mark. I'm probably gonna say this wrong. I think it's Sheeg. Mark Sheeg. He covers the Columbus Blue Jackets for the Hockey Writers. And he had somebody tweet at him after Carolina. So for anybody that's not aware, Carolina scored and won this game in overtime, not double overtime, in overtime. It was called back on an offsides in which Carolina's player kind of had control of the puck, but they still ruled it offsides. I still, to this point, don't get the call. Either way, that call was made. There were fans that left the building, couldn't get back in
Hmm. Hmm.
to watch what ended up going 13 minutes into a second overtime. Jordan Martinook won it. Talk about redemption. Martinook had a penalty shot in the overtime session that got stopped, and he ends up potting the game winner to send the crowd home happy. Just an absolutely fascinating game. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now, and I only watched the second half of the game. But absolutely incredible. Gut check time. Absolute gut check time for the Ottawa Senators. They need to win game 3 going back home. They're down 2-0 in the series. Uh, they need to win game 3, or they might as well just go ahead and book their tickets to Cancun.
The Senators, they fought hard in this game. This is a very crushing loss for them,
Yep.
especially after not putting anything on the net in game one. And of course, you have a fight in game one as well.
Mm-hmm.
But game two, they show much more heart, much more passion. So this was definitely a tough loss. They delivered 52 hits and they won 63% of their faceoffs. So that's definitely a heart-wrenching loss for them. And yeah, like you said, they had to win game three. If not, then vacation
If
time.
if they put in a similar effort,
Yeah.
I could see them stealing again, same situation, a 3-2, a 4-3, 4-2 with an empty net, something of that nature. I definitely could see Ottawa making this a series. I still got Carolina 5, Carolina in 6, something in that. And I still think Carolina is the best team in the East. But yeah, Ottawa showed that they can play with this team. Whether or not they can win the series, we'll find out. But they definitely showed they can skate with the Canes.
Jake Ottinger, he redeemed himself in game two. He played terrific. He made two big saves in this game that I feel like, wow, that was just incredible. Dallas Stars, they redeemed themselves after getting embarrassed in game one, 6-1 by Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Wyatt Johnson, he scored in this game. He scored twice.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Robertson with a nice tipping shot to put in and then the third period, which gave the Stars that insurance goal. But one thing I respect about Minnesota is that they kept coming back, and try to make the game interesting. And they had one more chance in the final seconds of the third
Mm-hmm.
period, but then empty net goal that sealed the deal by Johnson. But I feel that this was more about Jake Ottinger more than anybody else in this game. He really put the Stars in a position to win this game in game two.
Yeah, full disclosure, I have this one recorded with 4 games last night. I didn't get to all of them yet. I had to get up this morning and watch the double overtime win for Carolina. So I haven't watched this one yet. Ottinger, 28 saves. Dallas really got steamrolled. They got punched right in the chin in that first game, and it's 6-1. Nobody really saw that coming, and you knew this series particularly was going to happen since basically the Olympic break. It was basically locked in. Colorado, far and away the best in that division. So it then was like, all right, Dallas is playing Minnesota. This is going to be phenomenal. The first game was a blowout. Second game seems like it was much better. I'm excited to watch it this afternoon. But it's one of those things that I said it already. Whoever comes out of this series, whoever comes out of the battle against Colorado, battle test it, man. Absolutely battle test it. They're going to be ready to be able to run through whoever's in front of them. Because, in my opinion, they got through the hardest teams in the league before they even reached the Western Conference Final.
Dallas, they went 2 for 5 on power play possessions in this game. Brock Faber, he scored his first two Stanley Cup playoff goals for the Wild, so kudos to him. Quinn Hughes, he had 2 assists. So game three will be at Minnesota on Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. So definitely check it out. I just love, I mean, it's the crowd, man, the crowd. And then if you have the right play-by-play by announcer, that makes it even much more better in how the game panned out. And that's what I really enjoyed about this particular game.
So I'm not sure if you saw the video clip from it wasn't yesterday. I think it came out yesterday morning, but it was from the night before when Buffalo made the comeback. It was tied 2-2. Pucks in the
Yeah.
corner. Yep.
Ugh.
So for anybody that's not aware, because Mike knows exactly where I'm going with this one, there's about a 30-second clip that came out that's just clear crowd sound, ice on skates, crowd volume, puck in the corner. If you can't tell, I get absolutely geeked up about this. So basically, what happens? Puck's in the corner. Buffalo's a very smart hockey community. It doesn't, they haven't been in the playoffs for 15 years. It doesn't matter. They still watch their playoff hockey every year. So they know what's going on. In the puck's in the corner, I forget exactly who it was. He makes the pass from the corner to the top of the slot. And you get the first like, oh, from the crowd because they saw what was happening. Puck goes to the point. You get a half a second where everybody just holds their breath. And then shot rips right past the goalie, and you get another from the crowd. And if you haven't seen this clip, go search it out. It should be fairly easy to find on social media. Easily one of the best clips thus far from a very early playoff experience. But just that crowd sound and oh man, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now. This freaking fantastic.
There's nothing like fans when it comes to hockey playoff. Nothing.
I would
I
agree.
love baseball. I love basketball. So many sports I love. But when it comes to postseason, people, I don't mind. We can agree to disagree. But in my opinion, there's no crowd like hockey when it comes to postseason. None. None.
So I've had the pleasure of covering, I don't know the exact count, maybe 30 some of the 40 Flyers playoff Flyers regular season home games for Center Ice Hockey Magazine this year. I was blessed enough to be in the building game 81 when the Flyers clinched. And I have a video on my phone of when Vladar made the save in the shootout. Well, first when Forrester scored the goal to give the Flyers the advantage, but when Vladar made the save in that shootout to clinch the Flyers going to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I don't even really have the words to describe the wall of sound, even through the phone. It's just absolutely insane. And it goes right along with what you're saying is that I think hockey fans realize what these guys go through to win the Stanley Cup. That's no disrespect to baseball players or basketball players or football players or rugby players or any other athlete out there. Having said that, there ain't no way in hell a soccer player is picking his tooth off the pitch, running across the white little stripe, and running back across the white stripe to get back into play 2 minutes later. Hockey players will do that. I've seen it. So it's one of those things that I think that there's just that underlying respect between hockey fans and hockey players. And I think you kind of get that in the crowd atmospheres that you see in the playoffs.
Oh man. There's nothing like it. I mean, you get goosebumps when you start thinking about not just like if you watch the sport for such a long time, you start thinking about the iconic classic games that you've seen. And then when this season comes around, you put it all together and it's just flat out amazing. Like you could go through most of the regular season just, winging it.
Mhm.
But when it's April, beginning in the first round, is a whole different feel. A whole different
There's
feel.
there's only one thing this playoff experience is missing, and it's Doc Emmerich. He's retired. He's been
Uh
retired for
yeah.
years. But my God, as much as I can't stand I
Uh,
would love to AI Doc Emmerich's voice and be like, here, please just call this game again. Just so that we can experience it because man, that man was such a master.
Chris, there's only two. There's only two in my lifetime that I don't mind. No, not that I don't mind that I miss hearing play by play. when it comes to hockey. Doc
Mhm.
and Gary Thorne.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
They
it.
did. Ah, man. If I was smart, I'd look it up. Back in the day, like mid 2000s, like 2010s, I think it was. Gary Thorne. He was play by play on one of the hockey games that they did, and it was freaking lovely because you're playing this game, but you're hearing this voice that you just associate it with playoff hockey. Oh man, just hearing that name takes me back to playing that game with my older brother for hours and hours on end.
Yeah, man. But yeah, last but not least, Chris, the Battle of Pennsylvania, game two. I only gotta say two words and I'll throw it to you because you're a Philly guy and that those two words are Porter. I'm gonna let you finish it.
Porter Martone, man.
One more time. He did it again. He did it again.
As a Flyers fan, I maybe you shouldn't. As a Flyers reporter, I suppose is probably the better way to approach that. I can't tell you how many times I've watched players step into teams and do what Porter Martone is doing for the Philadelphia Flyers right now. It's at 19, he's making the NHL look easy. He's not Connor McDavid. He's not Sidney Crosby. He's too young to know exactly what he is yet. But he's had a point in damn near every game the Flyers have played since he got here from Michigan State, which, by the way, thank you, Wisconsin. Because if Wisconsin doesn't knock out Michigan State when they did, Porter Martone probably doesn't get to the Flyers until maybe the last game of the season, game before that. And without his injection of offense, the Flyers probably don't make the playoffs because he was that important and had that kind of timely goal scoring over those last 7, 8, 9 games. And it wasn't just him by in no stretch. The Flyers right now are playing. How do I want to put this? Someone mentioned this after game one, and it made a lot of sense to me. They said that the Flyers' performance in game one was the closest to the New Jersey Devils trap from the 90s that they've seen in a while.
Mm.
And it's because the Flyers are locking down the neutral zone. They're not letting Pittsburgh come through with any speed. And they're shutting down the forecheck when Pittsburgh punts the puck into the zone and they go to try to get the puck. Philly's able to just body them off, get the puck out most of the time. That is insanely frustrating to play against, and you're starting to see Pittsburgh crack a little. You saw Crosby crack a little bit in game one towards the end there, when he was off the ice for the final 2 minutes. Him and Sanheim got matching minors. So Crosby was in the box for the final 90 seconds. And look at that. Pittsburgh scored. Crosby was still in the box, so he wasn't there to be on the ice for the final 90 seconds to tie the game. Last night was Malkin. You could tell Malkin was getting a little frustrated. On top of that, last night was horribly officiated, but we don't have enough time in the podcast to cover how bad the officiating in last night's game was. But um, I'm really, really impressed with how the Flyers have played the Penguins. I thought we were going to get a much, much bigger pushback from Pittsburgh than we got yesterday. We did in the third period, but Pittsburgh looks like a team that's old and slow at this point. And that's not something that I would have thought that I'd say about a Penguins team that's got 3 potential Hall of Famers on it.
Well, I'll leave it right there, Chris. This was great, you know, to reunite with you once again to talk some hockey. I can't wait for us to do this again, throughout this entire postseason. So definitely we'll have to look at my schedule to see and match you with
For
yours
sure.
so we could do this again. But man, this was fantastic and like we said, this might sound like a broken record, but there's just nothing like playoff hockey in April.
It,
There's nothing
it,
like it.
if you're not tuned in, the first couple of days have been better, and it only gets better from here. Games get more intense, overtimes get more clenchy. And as much as it can sometimes suck to watch your team in it because you forget how to breathe for 45-minute stretches. Um, it's really really rewarding. And the fans in Philly, like I've seen all around me, the fans in Buffalo getting a chance to experience their first playoff win for the first time in 15 years. That's the stuff that makes everlasting memories. And definitely tune in to these playoffs if you're looking for something to watch on any of these nights over the next 2 weeks or so.